All right, I think we're recording now. All right, so what I want to do today was just kind of go over that business card, the thing that I sent you the other day. I think it was yesterday, just kind of this quick spec. So if there's any questions on the spec sheet, um, just chime in or type in the chat, and I will take a look at that, and we will um, get those answered. So here's a logo I made up. The famous Acme bikes, they were established in 1910. So here's a logo. So this will be a logo that we've done. It's all vector, so we can see, we can zoom in, zoom out, whatever size we want to be. So let's just kind of go through the card and the process of what we need to put on your card. So first, I'm just going to start with a rectangular shape. Again, we're an Illustrator. I clicked on rectangle, and I'm just going to click, and then our size for the card was 3.6 by 2. And now we have a shape. This will be the shape of our card. I'm going to flip that around just so we have just the inside clear, inside white at this point. And I can give that a color at this point. So again, remember, you have your color swatches you can do. You can also load up swatches. So if you go under your swatches and click on show swatches, but then you want to go to your swatch library. And these are all color palettes that Illustrator has pre-built in. So you can feel free to take those. I have a couple loaded up already. I have earth tones, and this one's foliage. Again, they're just color palettes that they put together that would probably go in sync with potentially a project. So I'm going to actually start with this earth tone because it's a bike company. And I want it to be, yeah, kind of. I want some historical relevance. We were saying the company was formed in 1911, so it obviously has some historical reference to it. So I'm going to give it a fill of this kind of a tan color. Again, this would print this color. Now I don't want it to be quite that dark, so I'm going to just click on that, and I'm going to go to my saturation, and I'm going to just now bring it down a little bit. So we're kind of lightening it up. So I just want kind of a tint here, kind of like an old sepia kind of paper color going on. And then I'm going to actually duplicate that. Again, I'm holding my Option key down. I'm just going to drag it. And this is going to be, so we have our front and back of our card. Now our logo, as you can see, is quite large. And I'm going to put that here on the front. And I'm going to scale that down. And I'm going to need to move that item to the front of the card. Let me get this window out of the way. Hold on, my zoom window's in the way. Move that down. Object, arrange, bring to front. Now we're in the front here. And if I want that dead center, right, left, whatever, so I'm going to select both the rectangular shape and the logo itself. The logo has been grouped together, so it's going to stay there. And then I'm going to use my alignment tool. So here we are, right, left, and then I'm going to align it up and down. So right now, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see our logo is dead center on our card. We're going to say this is the front of the card, and then we're going to do the back of the card. So again, I'm going to duplicate this logo. I'm going to bring that down, and we're going to put this on the back, and we're going to just kind of plan out where do we want our information to go. Now, at this point, if I keep the logo here on the left, we're going to probably put the contact, the information, all that over here on the right. So we can just kind of do a quick little layout of that. And again, I want this logo to be centered on the back of the card, up and down. So I'm selecting both items, and I'm going to hit center. Just a slight adjustment here. Now this logo is centered up and down on this. So over here on the right, we're going to start to do our cards. Now, I can look at my type here, and you can see I'm using a type called Albertina. And what's kind of nice about it is you can see there are several different weights. So from bold to medium to italic. So we have options here. So at this point, I can use the same typeface in different weights, or I can start to bring in an additional typeface as we start to go. So let's just start by the name here. And again, don't worry about the typeface at this point. I'm just kind of getting the information in. And we're going to do each of these elements separate because we want to have the control. So again, doing that, and we're going to put a title head bike rider. Okay, we're not worried about the weight or any of that kind of information yet. We're just kind of dropping in our stuff. Phone number will be important. So 555 899 2433. So phone number will be important at some point. We're going to want the website. I don't need to put www. I think everybody kind of knows if we do acmebikes.com, that's going to be the website. So we can save a little space by not having to put the www in there. I'm going to put my email address, and we're just going to put Daniel at acmebikes.com. Pull that over, and then we're going to want, at this point, I'm going to put in my address because we're going to assume it's a little bike shop, and they're going to have some kind of location. 1, 2, 3, 6, 5 Street. California, 92334. We'll see if that's a good thing. All right, so now we've got all the information we're going to put in here. So now, if we look at it just like this, it's a little boring, right? We're not showing really too much emphasis on what's important. Everything is kind of the same weight and the same emphasis. So we want to start to play with the hierarchy of information. Now, the other things you want to decide is, how do I want this all lined up? Do I want this lined up center? Do I want a center of this? Do I want this all to the right? Do I want this all to the left? So at this point, you make that decision. I'm going to say I want to put this all to the right. So what I'm going to do is actually build in a guide. So I'm going to go to View and Show Rulers. And I'm going to draw in a ruler guide. So I want to just say, here's where I want my text to be. Now, remember with a business card too, you always want to make sure you have stuff that's not too close to the edge. So when it's printing and they cut the card, something doesn't get cut off. So if I had my name, I'm going to group this up here, the odds are that this part of the D is going to get cut off if we reprint this. So you want to give yourself a buffer room, a little bit of a space. So you can kind of draw that in if you want. In this case, about 1/8 of an inch would be perfectly fine to give yourself a little bit of a safe area, as we call it. So meaning we don't want to put anything too close to the edge. This line you see is in a little bit further because I'm trying to just kind of line up things to that, and we'll line things up visually as we start to go. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here just to the text because that's what we're going to be focusing on in this particular version of the card. So, and again, I'm going to play with this right now with just the same typeface. I'm not going to change it to a different typeface. I'm going to just keep it all the same typeface with additional or different weights. So we're going to start with the name. We're going to make that bold. And move this over here. And we're going to give it a little bit bigger size. So we're going to say 13 point. Now, again, a lot of this is visual. Could you make it bigger? Yeah, we can go bigger, right? But at some point, it becomes too big on a card. So I'm going to say for a naming standpoint, you want to be in that 12, 13, 14 point area. And I think that'll look pretty comfortable on your business cards. And I'm going to move this over so I'm lining up with my guide that I put in. Now, head bike rider, again, I want that to be fairly emphasized. I'm going to make that a 11 point. And I'm going to make that we'll just make that a bold italic. I'm going to put that underneath here. Again, you see we're only doing one color, but again, we can add in additional colors as we go. um, if we want to bring in some additional emphasis, again, if we made this, you know, color red or something like that, it's going to bring in some extra emphasis to that. Again, making sure it works with, in this case, with the background. I'm going to keep it black, just keep it simple. All right. Okay, so next, what is most important after this? Address, email, website, phone number. Most likely, I think the phone number is going to be pretty important. So I'm going to bring this over here. Again, I'm lining it up, but again, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to say 10 point, and we're going to make that just a regular. Pull that in here. And again, you're going to see as we start to go, we're going to be able to leave some space in. The website and the email, I'm going to put those at the bottom. I'm going to move those down. And I'm going to bring the address up because I want that to be close to the phone number. And I'm going to right align those two. And I'm going to bring that down to about a 10 point. And this was here was 10, this is 10. Should we go a little bit lighter? Go 9 with that. And we're going to go with that as just kind of a regular. I'm going to, I think, pull that back up to be a bold. Let's get that bold again. Phone number is important. They got to be able to call. And now we have the address here. Now, type-wise, I want to adjust the leading, which is here. So I'm going to bring that down. I want to tighten that up here so we can just above. And if I'm at a 9-point type, I can probably go to about 8 or 9 point leading. If I start to go too much smaller, we're going to start to really kind of crowd it up, which is going to be a bit tight. So I'm going to push that back to 8. Next, I'm going to put in the web address. And again, I want weight there, but I don't want too much. Pull that back to a regular. And again, I'll pull that down type-wise. I'm going to make that a 10. So I do want that to stand out quite a bit. And then also our email address. Pull that down to a 10. I'm also going to make that a regular type. We're going to kind of slide in together here and pull that down. We've got some space at the bottom. Inch that down a little bit. Pull that down just a bit here. Now I'm going to just make sure all of these are lined up. Now I visually lined them up with my guide. Looks pretty good, but just to make sure, I'm going to select all of these items. Again, they're all independent. And I'm going to go to my align tool. And I'm going to right align. And you can see that tighten it up a little bit. Now push it over my guide. So I'm just going to push it back with my arrows, right and left. And you can see here, we've got this card pretty well lined up right away. All right, so let's do one more little adjustment. And again, this is just a first draft, okay? So here we go. Command and then the colon will get rid of your guides just so you can zoom in a little bit better. And we have, you know, the quick card here. Does it work? Yeah, I think it works. Things I'm looking at, I feel like this space in the middle here is a little open. So what that means is I think I can take my logo and bring it up a little bit. So I'm going to make sure those are all grouped again. Command G will group them. Just enlarge that just a hair. You can bring that back up like that. Just to fill in this kind of emptiness, just a little bit. All right. So now we have a card. And again, this would be printed this color, or you could, of course, pick a paper stock that is this kind of a brownish parchment kind of look. That would totally work. And I think it kind of works, but let's go through and do another quick one. So I'm just going to select all of this and make a quick copy. We'll just see how we can line this up again. Just do another quick draft. So what I want you to do is, as you're starting to work your card, work up some other options. See how it can work. What if we put the logo centered on the back? Pull that down a little bit. de-emphasizing it. And then we take our elements and start to rearrange. Okay, so now we have the name's going to go here. We're going to put the biking information here a little bit. We're going to pull the address over to here. And then we're going to put the phone number kind of in the middle. Okay, again, this is just a real quick layout, but you can start to see how we can start to rearrange things. Now, again, we have some fair amount of openness here. That might be fine. Again, it's up to you as a designer. Nothing wrong with, quote, white space or empty space. But you could also add in other elements if you want to. You could add in an opacity layer where you're putting background images in and just kind of breaking those down so they're just kind of barely there. Again, things you might want to do is go through and align this. Up in another direction. You might want to play with the ideas of caps and all caps. And you also might want to play with some different typefaces. So real quick here, let's zoom in. Let's just quickly mock up a few different typefaces. So let me get this all kind of lined up center. And this is a little sign, oops, lining up with the logo. And we're going to put that here. Get my guides back on. Center of my card, just a little bit over. I need to unlock my guides so I can move that over just a hair. Okay. Okay, move that up. All right. So we're going to play with the typeface a little bit. So we first picked this Albertina, but maybe there's another typeface that will work. So let's kind of go through here. Now, again, you could go with something. Right now, the Albertino is a serif font, but we could go with maybe a sans serif font for the name. Again, when you open up your typefaces, it will show you kind of examples of how it's going to look with your various typefaces. Again, pick something that's going to feel like it's, in this case, historical, but also legible. Obviously, that kind of a little kind of an Old West kind of feel, but definitely difficult to read. So I think I'm going to try to find a serif that I like nicely that goes with that. Typewriter would work, but I'm going to something more traditional in a serif world. Nah. Avenir can never go wrong with Avenir. All right, so what we did here was we have the Avenir, the sans serif with the serif for all the other type. Likewise, maybe I'm going to take the title of my title, Head Bike Rider. And if I want to make this the same here, and I could go back, what did I pick for my typeface? If I simply pick my eyedropper tool and click on my other typeface, it will change it. Now you'll notice it changed it completely. So it made it the same size or same height as the other one. In this case, 13 points. So I can bring that back down. In this case, maybe I want to go with something like a 10. It was at 11 before. So again, looking at that and seeing how that works, and then I got to have some other options that I can go through. Here's a light, like oblique, book Roman, oblique, medium oblique, black, give it real heavyweight. So I'm going to go with a light. And in this case, I'm going to take the title, or the name. I'm going to make that a black. So we got a nice mix going on here of the two. And the phone number, I'm going to also now switch that over to the same typeface. We click up here and I drop down. You can see these are my most recent typefaces. So we're going to go back to the Avenir. And we're going to make that a Roman. So it's not quite as heavy as it could be. Okay, and then we're going to leave the other typeface the same. This, though, I want to make my paragraphing different. Let me get this out of the way. Right, so we flip that to left justified, pull that over, and we're going to select these, and we want to align to the bottom. Okay, and looks like they are. So I think we are good with that. All right, pull this up just a little bit. And again, always zoom in, zoom out of your projects. It will help you look at them. Guides off to come back and forth. And again, I think that works, but again, the logo's a little small, but I think we could play with that. And again, what are we doing? The logo is big on one side, on the other. Potentially, maybe I leave the type at the bottom and then I switch it over again. So I'm gonna make one more copy. Again, this is kind of how we design, kind of get an idea, start it going, see how it's gonna work. I'm gonna enlarge my artboard just to make it, keep it on that white so I can see it. We're not really worried about the artboard. We're gonna separately keep these files, and when you upload these to a website to be printed, you're gonna upload the back and you're gonna upload the front, and you're gonna end up having separate files together. Separating these files separating these files so you can then upload them to your website. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this over here and pull these elements over here. Okay, so that kind of creates a nice balance going on. Just real quick, maybe a little space there between them. Again, a lot of this is just real visual, guys. You want to just kind of look. It feels too tight, move it around. If it feels too loose, move it up. So working with your designs will be kind of important. So don't just kind of go with that first instinct. You put them all in and there you go. You've met the objective of the card. The point is to kind of work this. And again, maybe now you're starting to go, all right, that's kind of nice, but maybe I want a different color. Very fine to do one color one side, do another color for the back. So I'm going to switch that out and let me go something quite white, which I think is too harsh. Go with a gray tone, probably not. What else is a nice bike color? Yeah, it's too much. Yellow, no, green, that's a bit harsh, but maybe I can play with it. Let me play with this green, and I'm gonna play with the saturation and drop this way down. So just kind of a tint going on. That's not too bad. It works a little bit. So again, this is where you play, guys. This is where you want to get in there, start to work with it. You can see, and in 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, we've came up with 3 different designs that work. This is one side of the card, but again, this could be changed and modified. And again, we did this in a horizontal format, but if you want to go with a vertical format, you could. Right? Nothing wrong with that. A lot of it depends on what you're doing logo-wise, right? And this is a pretty horizontal logo, but you can see it does work fairly well here in the vertical format. And again, what does that mean? You would simply change all your elements here. Typically, I will say you don't usually find vertical one side and then horizontal on the back. They're typically both going to go the same way. So if this is vertical, you're going to want to put your information on the back in the vertical format. Okay, so meaning you'll take this kind of information, bring that over. Again, make this a vertical format. I'm holding the shift key as I turn, which gives me vertical. Keeps it lined up. I'm going to open up my artboard just a little bit more to work here. Keep it visually looking the same. And in this case, we've got the bike logo. My computer is slowed down just a little bit here. Maybe put the logo at the bottom. Again, we're going to put this information at the top. And we see here we have a logo at the bottom. And again, you can align this kind of information all up so we're all centered. Last little bike in there. And we're going to do a quick align, and we're going to center those all up. And bam, there we go. And again, don't be afraid to just kind of visually, maybe I wanted this a little bigger, grab the edge, hold the shift key in this case, and just kind of draw it up. Don't worry about the numbers, right? I mean, we already started with good numbers, so now it's up to 10.4, perfectly fine. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. So go visually, see how that's working together. I think probably a little more spacing between these two. They feel a little tight now. So just kind of bringing that up. And then we're going to want to obviously align all of this to the center of the card. Get my guides back. All right, and we're going to want to align all of this up to our guide. And we got our logo down here. It's off center. I'm going to pull that in to be in center. And voila, we've got another business card. Okay, so here we have the horizontal versions. We've got the vertical versions. Okay, again, it's about getting in there and just kind of seeing how it works together, see how it plays. And you're going to want to go through this. You're not going to want to, again, go with the first instinct. Work it up. Other things you can consider, potentially images. Okay, remember you can bring in images to Illustrator. So you can import those in. You could work up the image in Photoshop at that 3.5 by 2 format, and then bring that format into Illustrator and do your text and so forth on top. You probably, again, want to do this in Illustrator because you're going to get a little bit sharper text, but it is possible to do these in Photoshop. You're just going to want to have at 300 DPI or better with that. Otherwise, you're going to start to get pixelization of your text. As you see here, we can zoom right in and everything is crisp and clean the way we want it to be. Okay, if we were in Photoshop and we were at a lower res, we're not going to have that kind of quality, as I say. All right. So again, quick little demo on working up your cards in Illustrator. So what kind of questions do we have? Let me get back to my screen desktop. Boom. We're back to normal, I think. Okay. Questions, guys? Everybody doing okay? Does the project seem to make sense to you guys? Yes, no, potentially, maybe. I'm not seeing. Very good. Okay. Again, send me questions. I think I've gotten back to everybody that's dropped an email. Again, what I'm looking for, again, I think the date was May 4th, 5th. What was that? We'll have one more small project after this one. Just checking my calendar here. May 5th, we're trying to get these all done. If you haven't already, please send me your roughs with that. And if you have anything past projects that you've been working on and you haven't had a chance to turn those in, get those over to me in the email. I did find one of the projects in the Fullerton email account. They were having a lot of problems with this. That's why we're using my personal one. So please try to use this email, not the school one, just because they've been issuing or having problems with that. And again, I will save this project or save this Zoom up and put this up on Facebook. I'm sorry, YouTube for you guys. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Keep plugging at it. We will work to get this done. We'll have another short Zoom on Thursday, but keep working at this and we will go from there. All right. Anything else for today, guys?
Not listening. Wash your hands.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day, and we will look at your stuff on Thursday. All right. Again, and feel free if you came a little bit late to check this out on YouTube. I will.
You're not a
put
head
that up
bike
soon.
rider.
Okay.
You're not a head bike rider.
All right, guys. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
You're not a head bike rider.
Have a good. You don't feel that comfortable to interrupt people.